$9,000. That was the quote to make a diesel ute run right again. A ute that had just ticked over 60,000 kilometres. Not an old bomb, not a flogged farm truck. A clean, late model dual cab its owner had serviced on the dot every single time. And here's the part that'll stick with you. 3 bays over in my workshop that same morning sat another diesel ute. A working ute, 400,000 kilometres on the clock. That one was in for a set of glow plugs and an oil change, a few $100. And it'll do another 400,000. Same fuel, same country roads, same kind of owner doing all the right things. One's a money pit at 60,000 kilometres, the other's barely running at 400,000. The difference was never luck, and it was never how hard they were driven. It's which diesel they bought on the day they signed. So I'm going to do this one properly, not a quick 5 and 5, the full rundown. The 7 diesel utes I watch run damn near forever. The ones I'd spend my own money on second hand tomorrow. Then the 4 checks that matter more than any badge when you go to inspect one. Then the 5 that'll quietly bankrupt you no matter how well you service them. And right at the end, the ones that split my workshop in half. I'm Greg, I'm 53, and I've got nothing to sell you. No dealer, no sponsor, no badge I'm loyal to. Just what comes through the workshop doors. Fair warning, the worst engine on this list is bolted into utes thousands of Australians are signing up for. Brand new, right now. Let's get into it. Number 7, the Mitsubishi Triton, the older one, the 4M40 13.2 diesel, roughly 2006 to 2015. This is the cheapest way onto the whole list. It was never glamorous and never pretended to be. But it is a simple, honest old diesel that will see 300,000 kilometres without much drama, and a fair bit more if you stay on top of it. The honest catch, and there is always a catch, I will always give it to you, is that these have a timing chain with a top guide that wears. Do that chain around the 200 to 250,000 kilometre mark before it bites. Cheap part, straightforward job. Do that one thing and the Triton is one of the best dollars per kilometre buys in the country. Number 6, the Nissan Patrol, the cab chassis, the 4.2 litre TD42 diesel, mechanically injected. No electronics to throw a tantrum on a cold morning. A bottom end you could anchor a boat with. The blokes who own these do not sell them. And that tells you everything you need to know. The catch. It's old, it's slow, and rust is the real enemy now, not the engine. So you're buying the body as much as the driveline. Find a straight, honest one, and it's about as close to unkillable as a diesel gets. Number 5, and this one's for everyone who reckons the modern Toyotas went soft. The Hilux and Prado 2.8, the 1GD, but specifically the sorted later ones, from about 2020 on, once Toyota had the filter properly sorted. Now, I'll have plenty to say about the trouble years of this engine in the back half, so hold that thought. But the later, sorted 2.8 is a genuinely tough modern diesel that'll do the big kilometres, with the parts and the service network behind it you'd expect from Toyota. Buy it post-fix, with a clean history, and it earns its place here. Number 4, the Land Cruiser 70 Series Ute, the old 4.2, the 1HZ. No common rail, no filter, barely a computer to its name. This is the engine that runs the mine sites and the cattle stations, the one that gets left in the back paddock for a decade, gets a fresh battery and fires on the first turn. you'll pay for the privilege. They hold their money like nothing else on wheels. But what you're buying is a ute your grandkids could still be working. The catch is the price of entry, and the thirsty old donk at the Bowser. Buy it for the next 20 years, not the next 2, and it makes perfect sense. Number 3, and a lot of you are about to type angry things, so hear me out first. The Volkswagen Amarok, the 3-litre V6 turbo diesel. Yeah, a Volkswagen. On the list of utes, that last. Here's why it's earned it. That V6 isn't some parts bin Volkswagen engine. It's a strong, properly over-engineered unit. And in my experience, the driveline on these is genuinely tough. They tow beautifully and they go the distance when they're looked after. Now the catch, and it's a real one. Keep the servicing religious and budget for European parts prices, because they are not Toyota money. But the engine itself belongs here, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise just because of the badge on the grille. Number 2, the Toyota Hilux. But listen carefully, because this is exactly where people get burned. Not every old Hilux is the unkillable legend the internet sells you. The one I'll put my name to is the older one, KZTE, the pre-2005 3-litre, about as simple and tough as a diesel comes. What I will not hand you blind is the 3-litre 1KD that came after it, and I'll tell you exactly why shortly. Buy the right Hilux, the older, simpler one, or a genuinely well-kept later truck with its full history, and it'll embarrass utes 3 times its price. Buy the wrong one on reputation alone, and you've bought a project. The badge isn't the guarantee, the engine code is. And number 1, the Isuzu D-Max and its twin under the skin, the Holden Colorado, the 3-litre 4 JJ1 diesel from about 2012 on. Yeah, I've put a non-Toyota at number 1. And yeah, you can fight me on it in the comments, but here's why it earns it. That 4 JJ1 is built like a little truck engine, not a car engine pretending to be tough, a heavy iron block, an undersquare design that loafs where others strain, an injection that isn't choked half to death by emissions gear. I see them on 300 to 400,000 kilometres, still pulling a loaded trailer like it's nothing. The parts are sane money, half the country can work on them, and they hold their value because everyone in the trade quietly knows exactly what they are. Put a clean, used diesel ute in front of me tomorrow and tell me to drive it across the country and back. No fuss, I'm taking the D-Max. That's not badge talk, that's just what I see. Now before we get to the 5 that'll bankrupt you, let me give you something you can actually use, because picking the right model is only half the battle. You can buy a brilliant engine and still buy a bad ute. So here are the 4 checks that matter more than any badge when you're standing in front of one with your wallet out. Check 1, the service history, and specifically the timing job. On a chain engine, you want proof the chain has been watched. On anything with a belt, you want proof of exactly when it was last done. No paperwork, no deal. A diesel that has missed its timing service is a grenade with the pin half out. Check 2, cold start it yourself before it's been warmed up for you. A good diesel fires clean and settles quickly. Watch the exhaust on that very first start. A big puff of blue is oil, a worn engine. White smoke that hangs around is unburnt fuel or coolant, injectors or worse. You'll learn more in that first 30 seconds than in the whole test drive. Check 3. Pull the oil filler cap off while it is idling. A little wisp of vapour is normal. A steady cloud puffing out of there is blow by. The rings are gone, the engine is tired, and you are looking at big money. Walk away. Check 4. On anything with a filter, ask about the DPF history. Has it spent its whole life doing short city trips, never getting hot enough to clean itself out? That's exactly how a healthy diesel gets choked to death. Long runs are a diesel's best friend. A filter ute that's only ever done the school run is a problem waiting to happen. Do those 4 and you'll dodge 90% of the heartbreak. Right, now the 5 I'd walk away from. And before anyone melts the comments, I'm not saying these are bad to drive or that every single one will let you down. I'm telling you what the trade is seeing, scoped to the exact engines and years, framed as my honest advice. Take it as that. First one, the Ford Ranger and Everest 2-litre bi-turbo diesel from around 2018 on. On paper it's clever, 2 little turbos, big torque out of a small engine. My worry is what's inside it. A wet timing belt. A cam that runs bathed in engine oil. And here's the trap. When that filter does a regen, a little diesel can wash past the rings into the oil. And that contamination quietly eats away at the belt. Let the servicing slip, or buy one with a patchy history. And when that belt lets go, the repair bill gets uncomfortably close to what the ute's even worth. And here's the tell you can't argue with. Ford themselves have axed this engine. For the 2026 Ranger and Everest, they've dropped the bi-turbo and gone back to a timing chain, and the wet belt's reliability is a big part of why. When the manufacturer quietly kills its own engine over the exact thing I'd be warning you about, you don't need me to say it twice. A well-serviced one can still be fine. I just would not buy one without a perfect service record in my hand. Number 2. The Nissan Navara D40, the 2.5 YD25, about 2005 to 2015. This is the one the trade has watched fail for years. Timing chains that stretch and rattle. And a cooling system that, pushed hard towing in the heat, has cooked more than one of these into an early grave. I have seen them drop a complete engine well before they had any right to. It is a lovely thing to sit in, I will give it that. But I have pulled too many of them apart to put it anywhere near my first list. Number 3. And this is the one I save the hard words for, because I've got more than just my opinion behind it. The Toyota Hilux, Prado and Fortuner, the 2015 to 2020 diesel, the one with the diesel particulate filter. The Federal Court of Australia found that filter was not of acceptable quality, clogging up, robbing the engine of power, blowing white smoke down the street. Around 264,000 vehicles. Toyota lost the appeal. Now, to be fair, and I'll always be fair, Toyota ran a fix and looked after a lot of owners. An assorted one, post-campaign, can go on and do big kilometres. That's exactly why the later 2.8 made my good list. But if you're buying one of these used from that window, the filter history is not a nice to have. It is the whole decision. Walk in blind, and the king of reliable can cost you just like anything else on this list. Number 4. The LDV T60. The cheapest way into a brand new dual cab in the country. And look, I understand the appeal when money's tight. But right now, the ACCC is taking LDV to court, alleging more than 5,000 rust complaints on utes that were advertised as durable and tough. I'll keep that tied exactly to the court case because that's where it's coming from. But think about what cheap really costs you here. The parts, the dealer network behind you, and what the thing is worth the day you go to sell it. Cheap to buy. We'll see what it costs to own. And number 5, the older Great Wall diesels, the V200 and V240 Utes from the early days. I am not going to pile on the engineering for the money. They got a lot of people into a Ute, and there is something to be said for that. The problem is the back end of ownership. Parts can turn into a hunt. The values fall off a cliff. And when something major does let go, the repair can be worth more than the whole truck. Because here is the thing about a genuine bargain. It was never the cheapest sticker on the lot. It is the one that is still worth something and still on the road in 10 years' time. These rarely are. Now, the ones that split my workshop right down the middle. The ones you keep asking me about, where the honest answer is, it depends. And I would rather tell you that than pretend I know how they will age. The Ford and Mazda 3.2 litre, the 5-cylinder. A lot of people love this one, and I get it. It pulls like a train. And plenty have covered very high kilometre totals. So why isn't it on my good list? The filter, again. Live in the city, only do short trips, and that engine never gets hot enough to clean itself out. And you'll be chasing diesel, particulate filter dramas. Do regular long runs and tow with it, and it's a genuinely good thing. Same engine, 2 completely different ownership stories, and it comes down to how you drive, not just what you buy. The new Isuzu 1.9, the little engine in the latest D-Max. The early signs are good, and the economy is excellent. But it's new, and will it still be going strong? At 400,000 is a question nobody can honestly answer yet. Ask me again in 5 years. Promising, but unproven. The brand new V6s, the V6 Ranger, the V6 Everest. Lovely to drive, strong, and too new for me to tell you how they'll age. I'm watching them closely. The early V6 had a camshaft recall that Ford fixed under warranty. So if you're buying one, just check that's been done. And the BYD Shark and the plug-in hybrid Utes coming in now. Whole different animal. The buying's fine. My honest question is the out-of-warranty battery bill years down the track. And that's the bit nobody can quote you yet. Go in with your eyes open. Here's the thing with all 4. They're not bad Utes. They're either unproven or they depend entirely on how you'll use them. And being straight with you about that is the whole point of this channel. So there it is, the full rundown. And if you take one thing away from me today, take this. With a diesel Ute, the price tag and the kilometres on the dash tell you almost nothing. A 4JJ1 on 400,000 will owe you less than a fancy twin turbo on 60. The engine code is the whole game. Buy the maths, not the badge. Now I want the other half of this from you, because your experience is better data than any brochure ever printed. What's the highest kilometre diesel Ute you've ever owned? The one that just would not die. Give me the model, the engine, and the number on the clock. And if you reckon I've got one of these dead wrong, tell me and make the case. I'm Greg, that's it from your Aussie mechanic. Look after each other out there.